So Kathy, is your monitor not supposed to be muted?
That's okay.
Okay. Just checking. So Kathy, is your monitor not supposed to be muted?
That's okay.
Okay. Just checking. So Kathy, is your monitor not supposed to be muted?
That's okay.
Okay. Just checking. So Kathy, is your monitor not supposed to be muted?
That's okay.
Okay. Just checking. Supposed to be muted. It's okay.
No kidding, yeah. Are you into Pokemon these days? Yeah, Pokemon's pretty cool. I don't know. You do care? Oh, yeah, you do. You have a Pokemon backpack. Really?
Have you got it yet? It's working. Okay.
It's working. It's working. It's working. Okay. All right, Craig, go ahead and test it.
Welcome. Welcome to our service from the Unitarian Society of Northampton and Florence. I'm Craig Dreesen, a member of the Stewardship Committee. If you're new or returning from a time away, we're glad to see you. Please feel free to fill out a blue welcome card you can put on the offering plate later in the service. There's also a link to the same card in the chat. We'll put you on the email list so you can receive information about all that we do. We strive to be a congregation that welcomes people of all ages, races, religious beliefs, backgrounds, sexual orientation, gender identities, and abilities. We belong to the Unitarian Universal Association Congregation and are guided and inspired by its values and principles. Our values and principles move us to remember that those of us in the Pioneer Valley live in the unceded homeland of the Pecumtuck, Nonotuck, and Western Nipmuc peoples. We acknowledge our responsibility to confront the legacies of disposition and systemic racism that are part of our collective history, even as we also affirm and celebrate the many legacies that inspire us. Our annual stewardship campaign begins today as we all consider what this congregation means to us. Some of you received letters inviting a conversation with a volunteer steward. Enjoy talking about what matters and perhaps get to know someone a little better. As we can't reach everyone in person, most of us will get a letter this week in a pledge form. Anyone who is very new won't get a letter, so please, if you feel inclined to join in our pledge campaign, pick up a blue pledge card at the back of the Great Hall, or feel free to talk to any of the volunteer stewards. And I'd like you to please meet the friendly people who are the stewardship volunteers and the volunteer stewards who are helping us support this congregation. If you would please stand, those of you who are in the hall. Thank you for this. And please join us for a social hour after the service hosted by the committee. We're here to celebrate, to reflect, and support one another. It is good to be together. We will now begin our service.
Into this home, we bring our hunger for awakening. We bring compassionate hearts and a will towards justice. Into this home, we bring the courage to walk on after hard losses. We bring our joy and our gratitude for ordinary blessings. And by our gathering, we bless this place. In the company of one another, we know ourselves to be blessed.
Hi, I'm Patty Cowden, also of the Stewardship Committee. Okay. Please rise in body and spirit for our chalice lighting, and we'll remain standing for the first hymn. We light our chalice as a beacon of hope, a sign of our search for truth and meaning. We light our chalice as a beacon of love in celebration of the life we share together.
Today will be a joy. Good morning. Our story this morning is an old favorite, swimming. I think you'll see why Janet wanted us to start with this story today. If anybody would like to come closer, the pictures will be on the screen and I'll also hold them up here. A happy school of little fish lived in a corner of the sea somewhere. They were all red. Only one of them was black as a mussel shell. He swam faster than his siblings, and his name was Swimmy. Can you all see Swimmy? One bad day, a tuna fish, swift, fierce, and very hungry, came darting through the waves. In one gulp, he swallowed all the little red fish. Only Swimmy escaped. But don't worry, he burped them out later. He swam away in the deep, wet world. He was scared, lonely, and very sad. But the sea was full of wonderful creatures, and as he swam from marvel to marvel, Swimmy was happy again. He saw a Medusa made of rainbow jelly, a lobster who walked about like a water-moving machine, strange fish pulled by an invisible thread. Any guess what this is? It's a forest of seaweed growing from sugar candy rocks. An eel whose tail was almost too far away to remember. And sea anemones who looked like pink palm trees swaying in the wind. Curious if anybody's ever had a chance to see sea anemones before. Very cool. Then, hidden in the dark shade of rocks and weeds, he saw a school of little fish, just like his own. "Let's go and swim and play and see things," he said happily. "We can't," said the little red fish. "The big fish will eat us all." "But you can't just lie there," said Swimmy. "We must think of something." Swimmy thought and thought and thought, and then suddenly he said, "I have it! We are going to swim all together like the biggest fish in the sea." There they are getting into formation. He taught them to swim close together, each in their own place. And when they had learned to swim like one giant fish, he said, "I'll be the eye." And so they swam in the cool morning water and the midday sun and chased the big fish away. That is the end of our story. Thank you.
Now it's time for us to greet one another. We're first going to say hello to everyone up there on Zoom. Everyone at home on Zoom. Hello, everyone on Zoom. And now turn and greet your neighbor here in the Great Hall. Hello, everyone on Zoom. Let me see if I can find you. Oh, well. Hi, everyone. Hi, Kevin. Hello, Stephen Thompson. Ellen and Phil, Sally, it's lovely to see you. I'm Mary Beth. Hi, Joan. Hi, Susan. Claire, Wendland, nice to see you. Joanna, it's great to see you. Karen, hi, Karen. Hi, Pamela. Hope you see somewhere. Hi, Gail. It's nice to see you, Gail.
Hi, Susanna. Nice to meet you.
Eleanor, hello. Hi, Charlie.
Have you ever been to the hospice shop in town? It's right by the Roost, and all the money goes to the hospital. And they have like so many vintage earrings, and I just get all mine there. They're like $3. Like, yeah, yeah. They have kind of weird hours, but yeah.
And now it's time for everyone who is going to religious education activities to leave us, and we will sing you out. So there's a short Zen story that has many versions. It's called The Monk and the Thief, and this is a version based on one that was told by Steve Eddington, who was the minister in Nashua, New Hampshire for a long time. One winter night, a thief snuck into the room of a sleeping Buddhist monk. As the burglar rummaged about, the monk woke up. The thief saw him and ran out into the street, and the monk chased after him, calling him to stop. The thief figured out that the man chasing him was no threat, and he stopped. "You'll need this," the monk gasped, reaching the thief and trying to hand him his own coat. "What do you mean?" the man asked. "You dashed from my room into the cold without any kind of winter wrap on. I have a warm blanket, and I have a coat, so take the coat." "I don't understand," said the thief. "You are a fool to give away your coat, leaving you with only a blanket." "Let me ask you something," said the monk. "If I had 2 gloves on one hand and none on the other, would I be a fool to put one of them on my bare hand?" The thief stared at him, pondering. "If I had 2 gloves on one hand and none on the other, would I be a fool to put one of them on my bare hand? What is he talking about?" So he reached out, took the coat, and walked off. That's the cue for Martin.
Good morning. I'm Martin Garner, and those of you who sit on this side of the Great Hall may know me as that loud tenor who keeps politely refusing invitations to join the choir. My husband Mark and I are relatively new members, having joined last May. We are not new to Unitarian Universalism. I started attending a UU church in Denver when I moved there in 1996, and 10 years later, Mark started coming with me after we met. We were active in our congregation, but a new job took us south to Colorado Springs in 2015, and we didn't click with the UU congregations in town. Our Sunday morning routine shifted to enjoying extended lap time with our dogs. Another job change brought us to South Hadley in the summer of 2020, which was a pretty grim time to make such a big move. We spent our first year here in lockdown, and I spent much of the second year finishing my dissertation, so making connections was tough. At the start of last year, we decided it was time to be more proactive about seeking out community, and so we began visiting the local UU congregations, including this one. It only took us a few months for us to decide to join. We've enjoyed the opportunity to be in community with people who share our values, who affirm our love for each other, and who are working to make this world a better place, And that's why we support this congregation. At my job, we talk about making sure that our budget reflects both our priorities and our values, and that holds true for our household budget. By making and fulfilling a pledge to this society, we are supporting all of its good works, our advocacy around voting rights, our efforts for climate justice, and our recognition of the inherent worth and dignity of every person, no matter where they're from, what they believe, or whom they love. Whether you've been attending here for decades or for less than a year, we encourage you to give from your heart so that our important work can continue.
Thank you, Martin. That was beautiful. Every week, we also take a offering. It's a long-term custom, goes back to the 19th century, of taking an offering in our Sunday service. And what we do here is we share half of that offering with organizations, local organizations and organizations far afield that are doing work that is consonant with our values and our justice priorities. So our morning offering will now be given and very, very gratefully received. And the choir is going to sing a song that is based on a sermon by John Murray, who was an early Universalist. And the Universalists were heretics who believed that God was a loving God and that people did not burn in hell. He wasn't very popular with most other Christian sects and denominations at the time. For meditation this morning, we have something written by Richard Gilbert, who was the longtime minister in one of the churches in Rochester. We are, therefore we love. We love, therefore we are. May we be humble before the wonder of what we dare to create. We'll be together in silence.
On the next slide, you will see lyrics. There's a part for you to sing along with. Hope there's a next slide.
I just noticed, and I did not do this on purpose, that every single reading I have is from a retired minister. How did that happen? Anyway, Patrick O'Neill served many UU congregations between 1979 and 2015, and he's the minister emeritus of the Framingham, Massachusetts Church. And I did modify a few of his words to better fit what he said to this congregation. He wrote, "What we love, we empower. We can't claim to love justice as long as we are willing to tolerate oppression or racism. We can't claim to love peace unless somehow, in some way, we are seeking to make peace a reality in the world and in our personal lives. We work for what we love. We invest in what we love. We try to become worthy of what we love and of the people we love. We give our time, our energies, our attention, and our resources so that what we love might thrive." And this principle applies to our congregation. When we join a religious community, we declare that what it stands for, the principles it teaches, the work it images, and all that it strives to become are things we hold close to our hearts. By joining in, we commit to empower it. And we have a right to expect that our religious community will empower us in return. It will call us to higher ground, to greater love, greater compassion, greater caring for the world and its troubles, for those suffering, and for the deprived and their needs. It will empower us to greater caring for one another. And it will empower us by calling us to live out our ideals and principles in our everyday lives. It will empower our children too, if we have children. It will teach them tolerance and respect for the good and the holy. It will teach them to love themselves and to love others. It will provide safety and encouragement and community in times of celebration and of loss. By what we do here, by what we contribute each in our own way, by the people we become, by the ideals and visions that we embrace and follow, we increase the store of love and justice in the world. Our hymn now is number 404, "What Gift Can We Bring?" I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing. So Patrick O'Neill references our principles. Early in my ministry here, I preached a sermon, maybe more than one, on the 7 principles. And if you're new or new-ish to Unitarian Universalism, or even if you're not, I didn't know this till I was in seminary, they're in the front of this hymnal. Surprise anyone? And they're also on a plaque in our vestibule. We teach them to our children. They've been part of the bylaws of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, the UUA, for many years. And some of you remember that the section of the UUA bylaws that lists the principles is probably going to be updated, but they will remain a part of our heritage and teachings, even if they end up being removed from the bylaws in a revision that will be voted on this June. Those principles say we, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, and respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. And many congregations, including this one, have also recently embraced an 8th principle, which is a commitment to acknowledge and accountably work to dismantle racism in ourselves and in the communities and systems around us. And I've often said that I think the principles are in the wrong order and that number 7 should come first. Because I believe we should begin by covenanting to recognize, honor, cherish the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, and we should expend this principle beyond care for the earth to acknowledge, including the ways our actions on all levels affect the whole. So that it could invite us to try more often to be fools, like the monk in that old Zen story. If I had 2 gloves on one hand and none on the other, would I be a fool to put one of them on my bare hand? What is he talking about? I think possibly it's one of the central ideas, I even dare call it a central truth, of most of the world's religions, which is that we belong to each other and are responsible for each other. Truly I say to you, as you have done it to the least of these my brothers, you have done it to me. Love your neighbor as yourself. There are no other people's children. Leo Leone's Swimming is another of my favorite stories. I think it's a favorite of a lot of yours out there. The copy in my office was a holiday present to our older son, Dan, from his beloved kindergarten teacher. And I love the picture of all those little fish swimming in formation. So I invite you to picture yourself as one of those little fish. Not swimming, not the eye, but one of the other ones. You're still you, but you're also part of that big fish. Swimming in rhythm, carrying along with the rest of them, part of and inseparable from the whole. Feel yourself being just pulled along with all those other little fish. I find it challenging much of the time to truly experience myself as part of a whole in that way. To honestly see myself as no more important than any other person or fish. It's pretty easy to think that way abstractly. Of course, I believe every person has as much dignity and is as inherently worthy as I am. And it's harder to realize that in practice. To consistently think and act like that crazy monk in the Zen story. I have a blanket, take my coat. We are individuals and we are part of a whole. We are part of many, many, many interdependent wholes. And this community, this Unitarian Society of Northampton and Florence, is one of those wholes of which many of us are a part. Why are you here? What is it that drew you to this community? What were you seeking? What are you seeking? The new proposed version of the UUA bylaw section that may replace the one that includes our principles says, love is the power that holds us together, and love is at the center of the values that we share. And we've talked about that a few times over the past few months. Some of you like Kate Kruckmeyer much more eloquently than I have. And I wonder constantly at how simple that idea is and at how many layers deep it also goes. So today, as Craig said at the beginning, is a Sunday that we talk about money and a Sunday when we talk about love. This is Stewardship Sunday. It's the day our annual fundraising campaign begins. And the money system, money itself is actually a process. And it's a process that's fundamentally about relative values, which means it's about relationships. And it's a very complex element in that interdependent web of human existence. So it's related to UU principle number 7. And what we do with our money matters. That's something principle 7 tells us. How we spend it, save it, give it away to support people and causes and organizations we care about, including this congregation. And I know some of you today are new or newer to us, so I'm going to spend a minute or two explaining the process because it's not necessarily intuitive why we're doing what we do. So our new year starts in September. We're on a fiscal year. So it starts on September 1st of 2024. The next year starts September 1st of 2024. There's a brand new baby back there. Oh, Libby Lanoy baby. I just saw her. Oh. All right. That's enough of that. Babies are better, though. Where am I? Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah. Thank you, David. In February and March, we start to plan. So we start to plan for the next year. And the plan covers how much money we'll have, and therefore how much we'll need for the staff and ministers' compensation and benefits, for programs like religious education and our social justice work, for heat and lights and technology and building maintenance, and our contribution to support the Unitarian Universalist Association. And compensation and benefits account for most of that, about 80%. 80% of our budget really goes to compensation. So we ask members of the congregation, we ask friends, people who've been coming for a while and think they will keep coming, to take your best guess as to how much you will be able to contribute, willing and able to contribute, starting next September 1st, which is a long way off. And the commitment forms or pledge forms come into the office or on paper or online. So you can pledge online, or they're blue this year, and some of them are in the back, as Craig said. Our members and friends empower this religious community through our presence, our work, our caring for one another, and our financial commitments. The vast majority of our income comes from contributions received from members and friends. That again is about 80%. Has nothing to do with the compensation side of it, but again, 80% of our income comes from all of us. We draw modestly on earnings from our invested funds. Building rental fees provide a little bit, but not nearly as much as they did before people discovered the benefits of meeting on Zoom. So as Craig mentioned, soon about a third of you will get a call or email from someone to talk about your pledge commitment. Your caller will bring their hopes and love for this USNF community, and I invite you to welcome that call as an opportunity to make a connection, to share what's happening with you, to listen to what's happening with them. Everyone who isn't getting a call or visit this year got one last year or is on the list for next year. So the rest of you will get a letter in the mail, an actual letter in the mail. And if you'd like a visit, please ask. You can just ask. You can call the office, or if you know who the stewardship people are, you can contact one of them. Once the results of the stewardship campaign are in, the budget gets adjusted and finalized by the Finance Committee. It goes to the April board meeting for discussion, and then in May, at annual meeting, the congregation's members vote to approve it. So if you are thinking about joining and want to join, doing it before May is a good idea. How much is each person's share? So those little fish in that drawing, the fish who are making up the big composite fish in Leo Leone's drawing, are pretty much all the same. They're the same color, they're all red, they're the same size, they're little. But we here are not all the same. We are at different stages of life. We have different priorities beyond this congregation, and we have different means. So we contribute at very many different levels. There's a giving guide that we came up with quite a few years ago that offers some suggestions. Do we have, Craig, are there some of those in the back? There's some in the back. We started calling it the Heart Guide or the Heart Giving Guide. The important idea behind it is that every contribution matters, and every contribution, no matter what the size, makes a difference. Every single person who makes a congregation is saying, I am part of this whole. And not coincidentally, the pictures on the giving guide are hearts, because this is the part where love comes in. And you heard Patrick O'Neill said, what we love, we empower. He said, we work for what we love, we invest in what we love, we try to become worthy of what we love and of the people whom we love. We give our time, our energies, our attention, and our resources so that what we love might thrive. Our staff here are few in number but mighty in impact. Jessica Harwood, as you know, is our Director of Faith Development and Community Engagement. Michael Taylor is our Administrator and Manager of Congregational Operations. Ellen is our fabulous Music Director. Ellen Cogan is our fabulous Music Director. Frank Talon is our Custodian. Darrell Lum is our Child Care Teacher. And Eva Wigan-Whittier, who grew up in this congregation, is our RE Assistant. And all of them are dedicated, caring, responsible, and committed to serving us to the best of their abilities. So, and as many of you know, this congregation stayed vibrant during COVID, and now we are thriving. With continued active participation from many old-timers and with new people and new ideas. I'll remind you that just a few months ago, we replaced all 5 of our gas-fired furnaces with heat pumps to continue reducing our carbon footprint. That was a wonderful combined effort of the Finance Committee, Stewardship, the Climate Action Group, and generous contributions from many of you. We have a strong continuing commitment to climate justice, to racial justice, to voting rights. We're participating in interfaith collaborations, cooking for the Cathedral in the Night Sunday meal for unhoused people, and supporting now the weekend program for Northampton families who are facing food insecurity. We've brought in speakers from UU affiliated organizations like Claire Carl, just last week, Claire Carl Muller from UU Mass Action, and Heather Vickery from the UU Service Committee, who talked about domestic trans refugees. And they are inspiring us to take additional actions. And the 200th anniversary team is full of ideas to celebrate the 1825 founding of the Northampton church side of the Northampton Florence family. And you also know that next year, actually the next few years, will be a time of transition, because you will welcome an interim minister this August, someone who will work with you and provide guidance through the transition period. There will be work to do, there will be feelings to process, expectations to let go of, and new expectations to set before beginning in the second year the search for a new settled minister. And in addition, there are a lot of big scary fish out there in the world to worry about. We don't know what the outcome of this fall's national elections will be. We worry about the conflict and divisiveness in our own country, about all the threats to peace and stability and human rights around the world, and we worry about the health of our planet. Those are all very big fish. And we cannot fend off or confront our fears by ourselves, and we're better when we're working together. We need one another, and we need the power of community that this Unitarian Society offers. We need it for inspiration and joy and hope and good company. This is and will continue to be a place where people are held, supported, and encouraged to both speak and listen. Ellen, that was a brilliant choice, by the way, for this Sunday. The Elizabeth Alexander's Other People's Children. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I had nothing to do with it. This will continue to be a place where each person is challenged to be their best self, and where we are forgiven and accepted when we fall short. So I'm excited and I'm confident, as I said 2 weeks ago, that you have all you need right here. I'm confident that everyone will contribute what you can and even a little more this stewardship season, that you will continue to empower, work for, and invest in what you love. I know you will share generously in hope and gratitude so that what we love will thrive. Our final hymn is number 1, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing. I hope you join the Stewardship Committee for a social hour downstairs. There's a great spread down there if you didn't see it. Our closing words are from John Morgan. In the end, it won't matter what we have, but how generously we have given. It won't matter what we know, but how well we have lived. And it won't matter what we believe, but how deeply we have loved. Go in peace.